Do you want me to do the intro so that you can wake up this time?
No, that's cool. That's cool.
You don't think I'm very good at the intro?
That's not what I'm saying. That's
Well,
not what
that's
I'm
what
saying.
I'm hearing.
That's not what I'm saying. What is up, guys, and welcome to the VisualWood podcast, episode number 27.
Wow, that was amazing. It's uncanny. Do you want to tell
What is
people?
going on, wooden potatoes? Are you beautiful and elegant today?
Yes, I am. I'm getting ready to go to bed. Are you beautiful and elegant right now?
I just woke up, so I'm doing just fine.
It's cool. You've got like the sexy man morning voice going on.
Yeah. Extra deep thing going on here. Extra deepness.
Extra deep. Beautiful.
Yes.
We were just saying before we started recording the podcast that the week, for you the last 2 weeks, right? But for me especially, this last week has just flown by so quickly. And honestly, guys, like, how much is really going on with Guild Wars 2 this week? There's not that much, is there? We've got some bongs, but not as much as usual. Would you agree?
Definitely not. No.
Yeah. So we'll pad it out with some other fluff. I think one of the big topics though is the Atlas, right? Do you want to jump into that, or should we go to some of the other ones first?
First I want to mention this fan art that we got the other day.
Oh yeah. Can I get another link?
There's no link. I sent you the actual picture.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Hold on.
Jeez. See, if you only had a folder that you dedicated to your fans and all their goodies.
I actually do have a folder like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not lying. Don't give me that. That's not. This isn't sarcasm right now.
Well, anyways, as he bothers to look for it, this is a picture of like the last podcast and basically all the things we talked about, and he did like a lot of, I don't know, little hints here and there. So I'm in like my full suit that I have as my Norn with the little gas mask and everything with the little halo, and then Wood Potatoes here is dressed with a paper bag and some horns on his Azura with the ascended back piece that is useless now. And,
are people going to be able to see
they're gonna,
this?
of course, obviously. Come on now.
Wait, so are they clicking the link or is it in the background?
It's probably in the background. I'm probably put it in the background
awesome.
so they can actually see.
Beautiful.
Covering up the beautiful scenery. There's also like a little book at the bottom corner that says Lore the Musical, and I have no pants, obviously, which is amazing. Come on now. I have no pants right now as I'm recording this. This is all good. It's all good.
You got to stop telling me about.
Come on, we tell each other a lot of things.
You've just rolled out of bed and you're like you've done nothing. You're just
literally
just record.
Like,
let's do it.
I moved into my I guess I live in like a studio, right? So there's like a little corner which we block off, but it's all one room, right? And we have our bed in there, and I just moved inside of there because I wanted to get more acoustics, and I mean it helped a little bit, but it didn't really help the overall thing. At least I'm not bothering the neighbors. Maybe
you now have like a little cubicle for yourself.
Yeah, basically. So my bed is like right there. So I just like roll out and then boom, I'm right. Like I could if I angle it properly. If I use the physics I learned in what's my I think I passed elementary. Yeah. I roll out and I slide straight into the chair. It's amazing.
Can you like have your legs up on the bed so you're sort of sit laying?
Yeah, I could.
Okay, wow, nice.
Yeah.
It's a pretty relaxed way to do a podcast, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I used to have that set up and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, but now my bed's a long way away, so yeah.
You need some space?
Yeah.
Some space.
I don't like that kind of hobo lifestyle that you get a little bit where you operate everything out of your bed and just to the side of it. So the crumbs just get everywhere. It's never
the crumbs. Also, of course, there's Hitler back there with the peace sign on his flag.
I wish I could find it. I actually can't find the image. I did see it though, and I thought it was awesome. So
and a healthy eating paper on there, of course.
Yeah.
Like all of 2 people in the comments were like, "Yeah, I would totally listen to healthy." Yeah.
You had quite a few people actually saying that. They're saying, "Yeah, healthy eating would be really, really cool." And some guy was like, "You should do Guild Wars 2 foods, like their recipes, but healthy style." And then it would be like, "Yeah, that would be the show." It's like there's all these twists on how you could do gaming food.
Yeah, gaming food. I would choose gaming food instead of like just trapping myself into like, oh, only Guild Wars 2 food. Like I'm like, what if I want to make something from Last of Us or something? This is not gonna happen.
Oh, I found the picture. Yeah, well, there's plenty of food in Guild Wars 2. There's like, do you like ramen?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you found the picture. So what do you think?
Yeah, no, I saw it before. I think it's great. I really do. There's like the Law the musical down there as well, as if we're singing. Did I actually sing the words "and it will be wonderful"?
I don't remember that part. That's the only one I remember. All right. So, Outlast.
Yeah. So, have you played Outlast?
Oh, obviously.
You did a review on that once, right?
The Atlas, right? So, did you do your video for the coordinates? No, you haven't, right? Or it hasn't been uploaded
I haven't.
yet?
Not yet. It probably by the time people are listening to the podcast, I would have done it. But I was going to record like a full thing on like all my thoughts on how the Atlas works, but I don't know, something about it just kind of puts me off because, like, we know from what the devs have said that this is actually something that is, like, ongoing and they're hoping to, you know, increase in what it's capable of doing. I don't know whether we can really talk about that, but this is, like, because to me, I feel like, okay, this is, like, the start of Atlas and it could go further and stuff like that. I don't know whether it's really worth, you know, putting the speculation out there. So yeah, I didn't end up doing the video and put my coordinates out there, but I will probably by the time people are listening. But yeah, it did come out. What do you want to just like explain what it was?
All right, basically Atlas was supposed to be a way to it kind of it's not the new release page because they do have a new release page that they share information on. Have you seen that?
No,
so they haven't removed the whole release page thing, which I thought they were going to do. Maybe they thought against it once they saw how Atlas really was, and were like, okay, maybe this is not going to work. So they have a release page now. I mean, it looks better, obviously, but they have the Atlas for. I'm going to keep saying Outlast. For like
it's a very scary website. It makes sense.
for like a secret, I guess, little bits that you can look for. Now this is attached to your browser, so if you clear a cache, all of it's going to disappear, so you got to be careful. So if you're looking on sites that you don't need to be looking at, and then you be cleaning your browser and stuff,
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're probably gonna have to reset all your stuff. So yeah, it's not connected to any account or anything like that, which I'm kind of disappointed at. But I mean, really, it's just a fun little site. It's nothing to be like, oh yeah, about, because I mean, I don't know. I'm just being honest. Like, it's just, like you click on it and boom, and the whole point was, a lot of people were confused about the secret coordinates, right? I got secret coordinates. Me and Win Potatoes got coordinates to give out to you guys, right? And my understanding, maybe I misunderstood when I was asking them, is okay, when we give this out, they can't unlock this any other way, right? Like, that would be the point, because there would be no point. If they could just unlock it by looking, what would be the point of that? And I couldn't find it until I put in the coordinates. So I said, okay, maybe that's the way it is. But it seems like everyone is having different situations or different experiences with Atlas. Sometimes everything is unlocked and they click everything, and then sometimes they need the coordinates, or sometimes they don't see anything. And
yeah, I saw this thing where Dolphy had posted like I believe there are 9 secret like pieces of information on Atlas at its release. 9. And I saw that Dolphy did release a list of all the coordinates for the 9 secrets, and I never like cross-referenced before doing the podcast, so I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know whether like the coordinates I was meant to have been exclusively given is on the list that Dolphy managed to release. Like, people just managed to scour through it all, like you're saying, and get it anyway, which kind of diminishes the point. Like, so to clarify for everyone, one of the reasons why ArenaNet like outreached to us a while ago now wasn't just about stuff that was coming in the story and things, but it was actually specifically about Atlas, because there are potential like avenues there for people like us, content creators, and other people on, like other websites out there who can now do scavenger hunts and like lead people, their audiences, through these cool little hoops or games to eventually be able to unlock exclusive Guild Wars 2 content. Like, and it's a cool way of people come to watch your videos, for example, because they know that they'll get real, tangible, exclusive Guild Wars 2 stuff.
Right.
And, you know, it's sort of scratching each other's back kind of thing. But then what you're saying, and if that's true with like the Delphi thing of all the secrets that have already been released, it's kind of like,
what's the point? Exactly. Like, it's a really cool thing. I like it, but the thing is, it's like right now in its beginning phase, it's just like, oh, what happened? Like, I thought the secret was supposed to be, you know, a secret, and you know, I was doing this whole cool thing where the video stops and I did all these effects and stuff. Like, oh my gosh, a hidden message from ArenaNet. Go find these coordinates, you know. And even though the clip wasn't really like, I don't know, it wasn't like mind-blowing or anything new or anything like exclusive, really. You know, it was just a fun little thing like, oh, here, go check out Atlas, you know?
But here's the thing, that's the other issue with it, though. That even if it wasn't mind-blowing, it would still be pretty cool if Atlas was, say, connected to your in-game account or something.
Right.
And it wasn't just to do with the cookies on your browser, but people were actually invested in unlocking everything and getting like 100% completion on Atlas or whatever.
Which
because if
mentioned.
that was the case, yeah. And so combined, the two things sort of have diminished a little bit of what I think Atlas is there for. But the main thing that they're releasing it for, I feel really bad, by the way, because like I haven't looked at the, like, I've seen a lot of what Atlas had to offer before it came out, but I don't know all the specific stuff that's on there now, so I'm actually not up to date with the discussion of all the secret things that they've released. But like one of the main things about Atlas, which I do think it is sort of succeeding in right now, is it's meant to like fuel speculation, right? People are clicking it and they're seeing this cryptic stuff and they're like, oh, what does this mean? It's like both telling you a little bit about past Living World stuff, but also a bit of future Living World stuff, and like trying to make people speculate about what could be coming in new patches. And again, that's like the 9 secrets I think are all meant to be kind of specific for it. Like I saw one bit of speculation, there was an image on Atlas right now where you can see what looks like something from the next patch. It's a Watchwork Knight wearing one of the new back pieces, which I don't believe we've seen in game up at this until this point. And in the bottom left-hand corner of this screenshot, there's like a little symbol, and it's an Asuran symbol that people will recognize as the symbol for the College of Synergetics in Ratasum. And that makes people think, okay, well, Synergetics, yeah, this was the big school that Scarlet ended up spending a lot of time on and was more difficult than the others, and this was kind of relevant slightly in the story. Why is this here on this image? So it has got people talking to an extent, but I just don't know how much of that's really relevant. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you think that small symbol in the corner of one of these screenshots is ever going to really mean something, or is just to get people buzzing a little bit in the meantime?
It depends on if ArenaNet's going to do that whole thing where, you know, they're going to put something out there and they're actually going to do something with it other than just letting it kind of, you know, fade into the background. Yeah, and what's going to keep people coming back to this thing? I mean, if they're, I guess for the people who are really interested in the whole map thing, even though as soon as they refresh their browser, it's all gone, they can look for new stuff. You know, it's like, oh, maybe one day the programmers will put like some secret thing in there for like only, you know, like a day, and then you can go find it. But if you don't find it, then, you know, you don't see what the secret is. Yeah. You know, it could work. There's some ways they can use it. I just feel like if it's not tied to any account, I don't see the point to it unless it's only for, you know, promotion purposes and, you know, going there for that new area only, because you know that new area is all like, you know, new. I can even if it's not like tied to anything else and like going for the completion. Like, let's be perfectly honest, this is like a mini game thing, barely, with like a completion aspect, but really all you are doing is clicking stuff, so I don't like mind too much with that. The one thing that would keep me going back to it is if the speculation stuff is on point, but I sort of found
And I don't know whether this is still the state with the live atlas right now, but obviously each waypoint has got like an asset, like a screenshot or something, talking about the living world that's actually related to a place on the map. So if you click, say, at the dead end bar, you're going to see Marjorie and Casimir in the dead end bar, something like that. You know, it's always relevant. And that was cool, but then I also found a lot of assets on there, like Edge of the Mist stuff. They're just like random waypoints and random sound effects just jumbled all about. So like I would click one in the Brisbane Wildlands that had this crazy sound effect, like a noise, and you're like, oh my god, what is that? And then later you click something else and you realize, oh, they've just randomly slapped this screenshot here on the map because that's just the only place they could think to put it. Like, and that like diminishes it a little bit for me. So I feel like they're gonna have to refine it slightly. But if every new patch, this world map just keeps getting updated and updated and updated, hopefully eventually we'll get to a point where people are like, okay, let's go to the Atlas, you know. Because it used to be you would have patch day and everyone's excited, and then you would have the next Tuesday where it's the release page for the next patch, right? And everyone's excited. Now they've sort of taken that release page away. What are you saying that they've brought it back though?
It's there. If you go to it's somewhere on the Guild.
Is it used to be?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's the same thing.
But do they release that on the day of the patch now though, instead of a week earlier?
I don't know. Because the first time I saw it was Tuesday, and I'm like, oh, they still have this? I thought they totally removed it, but no, you can look at the patch stuff. Yeah, and it tells you what the patch is about. I mean, I don't think it's like patch notes, equivalent, but it like tells you what's going on in the patch. I guess I'm
there now. Yeah, I think they do this on the release day though now, don't they? It used to be these came out a week before the patch went live. And now it's the day that the patch goes live. This also comes out on the website. Because the last update here was the 18th of February, the Escape from Lion's Arch. And that was the same day that the patch went live in-game. So, like, they've cut out that middle week. And I think what that middle week is meant to now be replaced with is Atlas. And that's the way that they're trying to, like, make it work. And at the moment, I've seen a bit of discussion about it. Some people are saying, hey, it's kind of cool. I had a look at it, but I'm not likely to stick about or anything. Maybe I'll go back to it, maybe I won't. But I think as time goes by, all they have to do is drop, like, a couple of bombshells and hide them really well on the map, and it will really fuel a lot of anticipation about when there's updates that go on it.
The first question, I asked was like, oh, so new areas, right? New areas on Atlas?
Yeah.
And of course, Arena never says anything. They just quietly just disregard me as usual in the meetings. I was like, oh, okay. I'm just trying to make a joke. That's fine.
But Matt's got a good point though, that this is a map, and like one of the exciting things they can do is it is a map of Tyria with all those areas that aren't even playable terrain right now. Like when we were first doing the coordinates, when we were looking at it in testnet, I was like entering them wrong or whatever, and it seemed to be throwing me to a really weird area of the map, and for a little while that was really exciting to me. I was like, whoa, they've put a coordinate out in this really random place that was not even playable terrain. Does this mean maybe they're going to add something there eventually? That's actually pretty cool, like, to think that they could do that eventually. Randomly add a single waypoint out in the Fire Island chain. And maybe it's only referencing something from Guild Wars 1, but that's going to make some rampant speculation once it actually comes out. But yeah, anything else you want to add on the Atlas?
Nah, not really. I just hope they do more with it.
I mean, the thing is, like, this is the big thing that's happened this week.
Yeah.
With Guild Wars 2, like, the Atlas's reveal. I think it will be something for discussion as we go further forward with it. I would really like to see what people, like, are saying in comments and stuff. That's like my one regret for not doing my video today, because it would have been really cool to see just how much the average people know. Like, I think it released without much fanfare as well. Like, I knew that it was due out because ArenaNet had told me it was coming out, but when it really came down to it, there wasn't much discussion about it. I like had to go on the Guild Wars 2 website, and then I looked up there, and I was like, oh yeah, there it is, the Atlas next to forums and support. I barely even saw that it came out, and I think it would have gone under a lot of people's noses, But, yeah.
Well, so what you been playing this week, right? Because we're trying a few games out to see what we can do on the channel.
I don't know what you...
what did you play for 2 weeks straight while watching Frozen?
No, what? That was a secret, I told you.
Oh, that
You
was
weren't
the
supposed to
secret.
know. It
So
wasn't 2 weeks straight either.
so for 2 whole weeks, no, for 2 days, he
3
was,
days more like.
we were trying out Hearthstone to see if we can duel each other, but for some reason the Blizzard, I don't know, attaches your account to like your IP or whatever. I don't know. They do something to that account. No matter if you switch servers, no matter what you do, you can't play with someone on the opposite side of the world. So
I'm sure, I am sure, even though we like had that whole thing trying to get it to work, I'm sure there is a way to do it. It's just beyond me.
not known to anyone regular.
I think maybe. The only reason I say that I think there is a way to do it is because I watch a lot of Hearthstone streams, and I've heard it be mentioned on them before, because it's like one of those constant questions that come up in Twitch chat, and they always answer. And like, well, not always, but I'm sure that I have heard it before, that there is a way to play across continents, but I really, for the life of me, can't figure it out. But yeah, alright, so...
How was it?
I'm actually kind of annoyed with it, and I'm not really playing it at the moment. So for people that don't know, I've always really, really liked Hearthstone. I was streaming myself the other day, and I spoke to people on that stream about it, but I've never played it up until this week. I'd never actually played it, but I had seen loads of it, like spent hours and hours and hours of my life just watching people play it, engaging in discussion about the game, and like it really captured me. But for some reason, I just never wanted to play it myself, mostly because of the card collection. So I went in. I thought I started off doing really well. Okay, so there's 2 modes of play, right? There's regular play where you can play ranked, and if you beat people, you get a higher rank, and you keep going up and up and up, and you slowly unlock cards and stuff, right? And then there's another mode of play called Arena, and in Arena, you spend some of the in-game gold, of which you gain very slowly, and you can spend real-world money to get gold. But if you don't spend real-world money, which I've refused to do, it takes a long time to get gold, okay? But once you've got a certain amount of gold, you can play in this thing called the Arena. You buy your way in. And this gives you the opportunity to make a deck out of random cards that the game gives you. This is the draft. And then once you've drafted a deck, you take it into the Arena and see how many wins in a row you can get. If you lose three games, you get kicked out of the Arena and you have to pay to go back in. But if you win loads of games, you get really high rewards for it, right? So it's like this gauntlet style thing you can do. Arena's really awesome. Just for starting playing the game, you get enough money basically to have a free run. Oh no, they give you a free run for Arena. I went in on that first free run. I picked the most OP class for Arena that I knew I could, which was Mage, and I got like 7 wins for my very first Arena run.
Wow.
And I was like, hey, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes, so I was like, hey, I'm not bad. And I'm not gonna lie, a part of me was like, yeah, well, I've seen so much about the game, whatever. You know, it should be easy for me. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then I had to wait ages. I just played some regular stuff to get more gold back. The regular game is really, really annoying to me because as you get higher ranks, you start playing against all these other people who have already bought loads of packs and have like loads of legendary cards. There's been a big discussion about Hearthstone, okay? Whether the game is pay to win or not. Have you heard that before? Have you heard people talking about
of course, yeah.
And what's your impression of the answer to that question? Is it pay to win or is it not?
I've heard both sides, that it's pay to win, and some sides like, oh, you're paying for convenience and getting the cards faster or something like that because time is money, and so, you know, like the whole like, oh, it's pay to win, but you know, it's more about paying for time and convenience. That's what I've basically heard.
Yeah, I would say the game is not pay to win, but it is one of those annoying games where they have like PvP, but new people playing the game are worse at it because they don't have like all the perks unlocked or all the experience and stuff. Like, it's the exact same thing with Hearthstone. You start off with such a limited pool of cards, and it takes so long or so much luck to get legendary cards, which in general are very powerful, okay? Like, a lot of people are like, oh no, legendaries suck, and it's like, yeah, they suck if you make a whole deck of them, but there are certain insanely powerful cards that if someone's got a bunch of them in their deck and you don't, then they're probably going to beat you, right? So it's not a pay-to-win game, but it is a game where you have to grind a lot before you can be competitive. I know, you know, it's a casual game or whatever, but these are leaderboards, you're working your way up. So it's just been very frustrating for me because I'll play the regular style game for ages and ages and ages, get to a certain rank, and then just keep losing to people because of like their legendaries, that I find it very hard to play around, and I'm not an amazing player. And then the other thing that started to annoy me about Hearthstone as well is every time I go in the arena now, I suck. I'm so bad at it, dude. I like that 7 wins I talked about. No, I got like 5 wins twice maybe since then. But like my last arena run, I went like 1-3. I got 1 win, lost 3 games, and I was like 0. It's just so bad.
It's crazy how like, you know, you start the game and you're like, man, I'm actually pretty good at this, and then you reset next level and you're like, wow, I really suck.
Yeah, dude,
you know,
it's horrible.
I remember when that happened, like when you first start playing League of Legends and you're just like, oh man, like you're getting beat by the bots in beginner, and then you start killing the beginner bots, and then you go to intermediate, and then, you know, like it depends on you if your team feeds or not. Then, you know, you'll get like you'll still win. Eventually, you'll start winning intermediate bots and just start killing them all. Like it's easy, right? Intermediate bots are just a way for you to have fun and get legendary, and then you go into the normal games and you're like, oh my god. And you get all these Smurfs, you get all these crazies, and, you know, eventually you get better. But like every time you hit that tier, it's just like, wow, I need to get better at the game. You know,
I think League of Legends is really good for that, though. League of Legends is such an interesting game that it's like pretty basic on one level, but then like insanely complicated on others, and you're always learning with that game. Like always. Like I binge that. We've talked about it before, right?
Yeah.
For me, we're both the same. Whenever we play that, right, we just get massively addicted to it. We just play.
Yeah, and I have to like stay away. I'm like, okay, I need to do stuff today, so I'm not gonna play League of Legends at all. Sometimes I feel like I need to uninstall it. But I mean, lately I've been fine with that because I've been busy for the last month, so I've only been playing it like, I don't know, once on the weekends, you know, a couple times on the weekends or something.
I feel like I could have got that way with Hearthstone, but because apparently I do suck at Arena, and because I don't have any gold or any legendaries or anything like that, and I do find it just so frustrating, I don't see myself playing it that much after just these past few days. These past few days have been really... They're the main reason, guys, why I am so out of touch with what's going on in Guild Wars 2, and I feel like this week flew past, because I have spent the greater part of this week, I would say, playing, well, at least 3 days, playing Hearthstone and watching...
Frozen.
No, we don't have to. Well, we don't have to talk about that bit. That's the embarrassing bit.
Frozen.
We can ignore that.
Segue. So I watched it last night with my wife.
All right. Like, tell me all about it.
All right. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna tell you until tomorrow morning. Well, you were awake, and you're still awake from the last time I talked to you.
I
huh?
am. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy schedule, sir. It's crazy.
You're the one who only slept 5 hours.
Hey, listen. That's normal for me. Every time we get a that's normal. So I watched Frozen, and I gotta say, like in the beginning, I was like, oh man, this is a lot of singing. Holy crap! Like everything is a song. Like, man, she will roll up into a song. Like she'll be like, so where are you going? And then she'll just start singing. I'm like, whoa. So like, this is a really traditional singing movie, right? All right, don't worry, I'm working to it.
It's a Disney film. It's a Disney film, so there is singing. There's a lot early on.
The Disney, they haven't been doing a lot of these singing ones, at least the ones I've been watching, because I watch a lot of Disney movies when they come out. Because they're usually pretty good, unless they're Cars too.
I have stories about that as well that I've been doing this week. Go on.
So I gotta say, like oh my gosh, the first song is one of the cutest things ever. Holy crap!
Wait. The first
song.
one is the guys cutting the ice.
Oh no! The second one. The second
one is Do You Want to Build a Snowman?
Yes.
Which is what I talked about on the last podcast.
Yeah, that is one of the cutest things ever. And
that was what made me think it was a good movie. Like as that song winds down and you realize, oh, this was just the prologue to the movie, and it's like really kind of distressing. And they specifically that shot where they move from the one girl who is like crying beside the door to the other one who's just like destroyed her room basically with like all the frost and stuff, and like that scene was just so good to me. And then it moved on and said 3 years later. That song was so good.
So. I liked. All right, so the singing. Let me just say, the singing does not like you're not just watching a song. You're kind of watching the movie. So it's kind of like a musical. So things are happening. Funny things are going on. They're showing the way. Like for instance, when that's kind of spoilers. Well, basically things are going on as they're singing, and the songs are good. It's to my surprise, okay? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I know she's not rolling up into a song again. But then the song is actually good, and it actually tells the story. So I'm like, okay, you just like they introduce characters. Like the first bit is kind of like, oh, okay, they're moving the story too fast, and then it just gets really good, like really good. And it's funny. The characters they introduced, they had Jonah as the snowman, the big guy from Superbad. And
I think I thought it was him as well, but it's not. It's a different person.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a completely different person. He sounds very similar though.
Whoa.
Yeah,
okay.
It's someone else.
Okay, never mind. Well, that guy who did the snowman was really good. And the moose, or is it a deer? Is it a moose?
It's a reindeer.
It's a reindeer.
Sven the reindeer. Yeah.
The way they animated the reindeer to have a personality, even though the thing doesn't talk, is great. And
they did that in. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The whole thing where his partner, or I don't know, his owner would basically Christoph would act out his what the moose is saying, or the deer, what the reindeer is saying is just it just adds to the flavor. And oh my gosh, it's a good movie, and there's plenty like laugh out loud moments, and it's it gets a little dark too. It's not like
I think it's darkest earliest in the film, because when other dark stuff happens, whenever it's like kind of sad, they snap back into very jovial moments. Like, so one of the big moments in the film, without me spoiling it, is where the two sisters meet each other at like her ice palace, and one of them gets hurt, and you're like, oh god, this could be pretty bad. But then they immediately jump into this bit where like they're just throwing a snowball at this like snowman, and then running away, and then they're just laughing about it and stuff, which is very Disney. But like they do quite a lot of songs in Disney films where you got. Yes, Disney own Pixar, like you mentioned, like Cars 2 or whatever. Yeah, they are owned by them, but like Pixar do even though they're animated films, like they do very different. Like the traditional actual Disney lineup films have always had a lot of singing and dancing, very Broadway musical style. Like is how they did is like their renaissance. Yeah, well that's Pixar, not that's not like one of the Disney things.
Well, you're saying like traditional Disney movies. Like but that's Disney does more stuff than what they used to do. Back then, it all used to be songs. Now you have Pirates of the Caribbean and all this other stuff, and Maleficent with
well, Disney own a lot of IPs and things, right? But they also have a very specific like lineup of films that they release. I can't remember what they're called. Like it's a specific name, and it's like it like started with I can't remember, but it had Snow White in it. It had Cinderella in it. It had all of these, and then like throughout the 90s, and then it like really started to slack and do badly. But then in like '89, they did The Little Mermaid, and then Aladdin came out, and The Lion King, and Tarzan, and Lilo and Stitch. They had tons of hits, right? And then through the 2000s, and even most of what we've seen the 2010s, honestly, they've done badly again. But they swapped from like cartoons to what Pixar do very recently. Like I think they started with the film before Tangled, and this one's been like another like one of their big hits in that core lineup. And all of those, every single one has been like a song and dance Broadway style thing. While Pixar have been doing stuff like Toy Story and Monsters Universe Inc. and stuff like that, and those typically aren't musicals because they're just different people doing them. They're just financed by Disney or whatever. But yeah,
it's a good movie. It's definitely a good movie. I would probably watch it again if like my little sister came by or whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, we could totally watch this again. Like I would not mind at all. It's actually one of my favorite Disney movies. There's not many Disney movies that I absolutely just love. You know, you weren't
overhyped.
I wasn't overhyped. No, I never get. I would still tear apart a movie, even though like there's certain things I had problems with it, and I can't remember actually what happened in the beginning of the film. Was it that she was trapped in the room? Like she wasn't she didn't come out to eat or pee or do any of these things. Like, how did they not talk to each other the whole time? Like that just made no sense to me. Like a lot of the beginning stuff. Yes, they do, because she acts like she never. Yes, when they first talk again. They're like, I never see you, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, but you're like knocking on her door. Like, how does she not eat? How does she not come out? How did they not have any words? It doesn't make any sense.
They're trying to put it out that way. They're not like trying to be like they've never seen each other. It's just that they're like strangers to one another now. They speak to each other every now and then, a cursory nod or comment here or there over the months throughout their life. But in general, they have been separated from one another. And like the whole locked in the room thing isn't meant to be taken literally. It's just like this is a really nice visual way of demonstrating exactly what's been happening.
People who see the movie. People who see the movie, rewatch that scene and tell me how this sounds like, because it definitely sounds like,
they're strangers.
I never see you. No, dude, like, how do you not say hi or good morning? That doesn't make any sense.
What I'm saying to you is that's the way
they portrayed it. Is that she was literally locked in a room for years and never talked. Like, wow. I'm like, are you serious? 3 years passed, and I'm like, what the heck? There's a deer walking on my screen right now as I'm recording Guild Wars 2 in the background. It's really annoying.
Really?
It's just glitching out. People are gonna see it, and it's talking. Oh no, it's eating something. This deer is really bothering me. Anyways, it was a good movie, really good Disney movie. If you don't mind songs. Even though the songs are good, in my opinion, even though I've kind of gotten tired of songs, even though I used to sing them as a kid, because I used to watch Lion King at least 1 billion times. Lion King was one of my favorite Disney movies. All this Lion King, all the time. And I used to look for all those moments, like, how Disney got claimed for subliminal messaging?
Yeah, was it you that told me about the
sex thing?
On the case or something.
Oh, the Little Mermaid. Yeah, in the background, the things look like
Willies.
Yeah, and my friend has the original. Yeah, my friend has the original case, and he was like, "Yeah, that looks like Willies to me. Like it straight up looks like Willies." You can look this stuff on the internet, like all the subliminal messages, guys. Like it's easy to find. Disney doesn't like. Oh, you got to take that down. Yeah.
Speaking of like messages and stuff on the topic of Frozen, what did you think? I'm not so much on this bandwagon. I think people are overplaying it a lot. But one of the reasons why a lot of people do like Frozen is because it like subverted a lot of like typical things you see in films, specifically Disney films. So like it sets up the whole plot, and the idea is this is going to be like minor spoilers, I guess. So just like jump ahead a minute if you have to. But the whole way through the plot, like it's setting up like this idea of having like the true love's kiss or whatever, like, and it has to be like a romantic love.
Right.
But then at the very end, it's not that kind of love at all. It's like a familial love.
I joked about like, I like this true love's first kiss. I was like, what is this, Snow White? Right? And I was like, oh, well, this is probably kind of a play in the same universe, true love's first kiss or whatever. And I was like, you know what? What if the Frozen, Ursula? Is her name?
Elsa. Elsa's the one with the powers, and Anna's the one without.
She kisses the girl.
Yeah, and there's a shot in the film as well where after she's just been frozen, like she's holding her cheeks. I was like, oh my god,
dude, I didn't want to spoil it.
Well, people aren't gonna know if they haven't seen it. They're not gonna know specifically what we're talking about here.
All right,
Let's face it. The people listening right now who haven't seen the film just want us to move on anyway.
All right, whatever. There was a lot of twists and turns where you think this is the way it's gonna happen, and it's not the way it's gonna happen. And I like it for that as well. Like I'm like, okay, you know what? That was a good ending. Yes, happy, but guess what? I wasn't like. I didn't feel like I knew what was gonna happen at the end. It was something totally different, and it kind of the ending kind of fell in place very well, and I'm like, you know what? That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, like so
the whole like
quite a good...
yeah, and then the whole like true love thing. And I gotta say that scene where she finds something out about somebody, right? That scene right there, when it's about to happen and then it just switches, and I'm like, I kind of knew it was gonna happen, but the way it was done was really evil. I was like, whoa. I was like, that's way more evil than I thought it was gonna be. Like, he generally just changed his tone and just changed, like, I don't know, he just changed the mood of the movie instantly when he did that, for me at least. I had some big speakers on, and I was just invested. I was invested. As soon as, like, after the 10 to 20 minute mark, I was like, yeah, I like this movie. I like this movie. But yeah, we can move on now from Frozen. People are tired.
We will stay with... Well, one thing I did want to say, like, because of that film, this week, you know, I said I'd try and watch, you know, a couple of movies each week. Like, I want to watch Captain Phillips, I think is
yeah, I have it. I have it there.
Pulling off.
I didn't have my subtitles. I think I mentioned that last time. I still haven't watched it yet, yeah.
But I want to watch that. But I've also watched this week, aside from rewatching that film loads. And can I just clarify, the only reason I rewatched that loads is because I was playing Hearthstone. I wanted extra entertainment, and it like had the repeat button on, so it just kept going. I was like, all right, this is fine, whatever. I enjoy it. It's got songs. It's rewatchable. I watched a couple of Disney films. I watched Wreck-It Ralph, which I'd never seen before, but a lot of people quite enjoyed.
Come on, dude. That's a good movie, man.
That was an okay movie. Yeah, I quite enjoyed it.
I went, okay, move on.
Well, it had some cool Easter eggs in it. I paused it at one point when there was like graffiti on the wall, and some of the graffiti says "Aerith lives," and like the other one says "All your base belong to us." Like, there's a lot of like the way that whole, for people that don't know, Wreck-It Ralph is basically Disney's version of Toy Story, but for video games. That's basically what it is, right? In a very roundabout way.
I would say a concept, but not story or anything like
that.
Conceptually.
Conceptually, the story is completely different about different characters, obviously. But like, that's the general idea, that the video game characters are real and they live within their machines and stuff.
The little girl was too cute for me, so I have to say I like the movie because the little girl too cute.
It was a good film, but the whole thing with it is like a lot of it's very retro. Some of it's not retro at all, but they're like established IPs, like it's like Mario and Sonic and stuff like that appear in it. But then there's actually some real core gaming audience related like Easter eggs in it, like stuff about Final Fantasy VII and really weird specific things that core gamers and people like me that would be playing MMOs and things would only pick up on. And I was really happy to see that Wreck-It Ralph actually had those little eggs in there as a nod to those people. Like, it made the guys who made the film actually seem like they really were gamers themselves, rather than, oh, hey, let's just do this film about this concept. And the other one I watched was Tangled, which I had a point about earlier.
It was alright.
It was okay.
Yeah, it was alright.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's basically. Oh yeah, no, Tangled. You were saying about Sven, the reindeer in Frozen, and how like he's animated to be very human.
Right.
Like the horse in Tangled is like almost the same.
Right.
Like, the horse is super. You know. There's a better word for it, but yeah, go ahead.
I gotta say one more thing about Frozen. The writing for that movie was on point. Like the jokes were delivered, my friend. They were handed to you with Oreo cookies, all right, already twisted off the top so you can lick the filling inside with some nice vanilla almond milk or some Nesquik. Some Nesquik chocolate milk. Anyways, that's all I'm saying.
Wow.
It was really good. Speaking about old movies, Space Jam 2. Space Jam 2, man! Ah! Space Jam 2, dude.
You're gonna have to fill me in. What?
You don't know what Space Jam is?
I know what Space Jam is, but what is there a sequel? Seriously?
Yes. Well, of course, it's not gonna be with Michael Jordan. It's gonna be with LeBron James, which I'm not much into basketball, so I mean I know who he is, obviously, duh. But
I've heard the name also. Yeah.
I heard the name also. Well, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You're in the UK. I totally forgot. How does that work in the UK? Sorry, I don't know about basketball. Do you guys have a basketball team, or how does that work?
It's not. There were a lot of people as I was growing up I knew who were keeping up with what was going on in basketball. In PE, while you're growing up, yeah, you'd probably play basketball at some point. you'd know about the sport. Some people might pick it up and know quite a lot, but for me personally, and most people that I've ever been close to in my life, we've never really cared about basketball.
So there's like nothing about. So there's only soccer over there, right?
Football, yeah. Soccer is really the main game that's played.
I don't know. At school they told me soccer, so I don't know what's wrong with any of you people who call it football. So you guys can go suck it.
Well, it's because I'm not even gonna. No, I am. It's because we kick a ball with our feet to play the game. Yeah, unlike hand egg.
I know. I'm just trolling. I'm just trolling because people get so angry. And it's pretty funny.
I hate what I just said because everybody ever says that.
It's like, you kick a phone with it. Yeah, okay, calm down.
I will add, by the way, I'm not saying that no one in the UK would know who LeBron James is. I'm almost 100% sure most people probably do. So let me just throw that out. But he's going to be in Space Jam 2. Are you serious right now?
Yeah. That's what was announced. So
In February 2014, Warner Bros. Announced a sequel set to star professional basketball player LeBron James. Charlie Ebersol will produce through his production company, with a script by his brother. John Berg will executive produce. However, representatives of James denied the claim that he would be involved.
Oh man, it's gonna be interesting. I think they're gonna go the CGI route. I really do think they're gonna go the CGI route. Maybe some unique style. For
no, they'll just make like a real Bugs Bunny for it.
Yeah, so they're gonna be like Ninja Turtles, the old Ninja Turtles when they're in suits.
Yes.
That would be the most creepiest thing, dude. Oh my gosh, that'd be so creepy. What's up, Doc? Yeah, he just like grabs a real Cali and you see his like real teeth. It'll be like that crazy bunny scary movie. Isn't there a scary bunny movie?
Donnie Darko.
No, that's not a scary movie. That's just an artistic masterpiece. Yeah, but
it's the crazy bunny guys in that film.
Oh, by the way, some guy, don't you know the guy who sent me the code for Tesla Gran? He had a name. I think it was Johnny. Yeah, it was Johnny Darko. And I was like, hold up, like, have you watched? You remember this movie I watched when I was young?
He must have.
You know, I was just making sure that wasn't his name. You know, I don't want to make another mistake again with people's name, like calling people guys when they're girls and stuff. So it's a little weird. Yeah. So, anyways, so what's this maintenance patch you have in Google Docs here?
All right, so we're well into the Guild Wars 2 section now. Bong. One thing to point out about the patches that are coming up, just so that people know, this is sort of like a PSA, I suppose. We're gonna have, obviously, the next patch is the finale, which is on the 4th of March. Yeah. But then the patch after that, which would be on the 18th, after the 2 weeks or whatever, a lot of people were expecting a feature update to come to the game between like the Living World seasons, which I think many of us are really looking forward to. That patch is actually still not going to be the feature patch. It's still not going to come out. Like, it will be delayed even later than that. That's just going to be a maintenance patch where some small changes go through. I think some of the like minor balance changes are going to be going through there, but nothing like substantial. All the feature patch stuff will still be even later.
Wow.
And I guess if they're going to skip, they might then have the real feature patch then be on the 25th of March. But if they do it bi-weekly again, even still, then that could mean we don't get the feature patch until April 1st, which is a very odd date. But
wow, I was looking forward to that. I mean, that's what I've been looking forward to, really. To be honest, like that's pretty much where I'm hoping that things, you know, a lot of things will come into the game. That
like it should be really, really good. We've heard so little about it as well, though. You know, like it's the feature patch. This is where all the big features come from. Most of the stuff we've heard are balance changes and like the rune and sigil stuff. Right. Like beyond that, really, the rest is sort of limited. My main worry for Guild Wars 2 right now with their new like release schedule, my number one primary concern, especially when it comes to PvP, which they're still trying to push for esports or whatever, is having these feature patches so infrequent and balance updates tied to them is a huge mistake. The way that they should be trying to achieve balance with this game is lots of smaller little patches that change the skills, like, and slowly tweak them up and down so that they can make a tweak, add a new Grandmaster that is more interesting than a previous one, something like that, but do it scientifically, like just add 1 or 2 small changes and then they can monitor how the community takes that feedback. With such infrequent patches, they have no choice but to load them up with tons and tons and tons of changes and then throw it live. And like, how is that any different to the state of Guild Wars 1, where we just had these huge swings, and the only reason the meta ever changed was because of balance patches, which is like one of the main things they were trying to avoid with Guild Wars 2. That's why we have like this arcade-style weapon system where skills are bound to weapons.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing that the gamers, the developers, just changed the meta to like change up the gameplay? Is that
no. Well, towards the end of Guild Wars 1, towards the end of Guild Wars 1, what they did was they added this, like, global buff that would be on everyone in PvP, and that global buff would change, I can't remember anymore, whether it was weekly or daily or even monthly. I think it was maybe weekly, but this global buff basically was meant to change the way the meta worked. So 1 week, every time a player died, they would explode and do AoE damage around them and summon a bone minion or something. And so this would change the meta as players moved around it. The next week, everyone would have like 30% less benefit from healing, say. I can't remember what all of them were anymore. It was called the Flux. And like towards the end, they did like eventually start incentivizing that. But before that, they had this thing in Guild Wars 1 where they did these big feature updates, and because the game was so complicated and they had so many skills, they would make like one small change and then it would just spiral out of control massively. Like the first game, like the numbers were like you'd be hitting like around 100 damage was a really sizable amount of damage to be doing. Like 100 was crazy high. Right. And in Guild Wars 2, like 10,000 is a high amount. Now you might wonder, why did they change that? Why did they change the amount of health that they're working with? Well, and the numbers are higher in Guild Wars 2 in another attempt from them to not have it be so much swings and roundabouts. So now the devs have more freedom to change numbers and it won't have such a radical impact because, like, do you see how that works? But they've done loads in Guild Wars 2 to try and stop these massive meta swings, and because they are doing these balance patches so infrequently, it's just going to be the exact same thing. People come for the balance patch, play it for a little bit, see how the new meta is, get bored and leave. And when they're so like infrequent, what are we looking at here? Seriously? Like 3 balance patches a year? That's not on, man. That's never going to build anything on the PvP side of the game. And I think there's going to be very little excitement for people in the other formats too. Like, particularly World versus World. It's
a bit weird to do it that way. I mean, I'm pretty sure they have, there's different reasons why people would put in some big patch like that. I guess to get hype around the game or something like that. But it's kind of like tweaking your audio. It's just like, okay, do you want to add a little bit compression? Metaphor. Yeah, I want to add a little bit compression, a little bit of highs, a little bit of lows. Or you just do it all at one time and then hope for the best. It's just like, then your voice sounds like crap. So it's like, I definitely agree with you when it comes down to just putting out maybe little patches every 2 weeks or so, each change. But I remember them mentioning something about like, they kind of want to work on everything first and make sure everything is tight and test it over and over again before we release it to everyone instead of just doing all these little small patches. Even though kind of Guild Wars 2 is kind of built for, these whole patches while everything is live.
Yeah, like that's the other thing. Like, the whole point of the Living World at the moment, one of the really good things that they recognized and played into was that they have lots of patches going out and they can slip, stuff like feature build stuff in as it comes out. And now they've had a change in philosophy. They've decided, no, we're not going to slip it all in these small patches. We're going to hold it all together and throw it out. And it's like you say, maybe it's better for marketing or excitement or whatever. But and I agree with that. But for the skill changes, that is absolutely not what they should be doing. I think that's a really bad, that's a big mistake. Like, the skill stuff needs to stay, if we had a skill change every 2 weeks, we'd be in a really good place, and they could potentially have been there, but no, we're not getting anything of the sort, and we're going to the other extreme now.
I'm still waiting for the new stuff. I'm still waiting for the new weapon skills, the new skills. I'm still waiting for all those changes because I feel like after a couple years, I think because I know people have gotten bored and I know people have listened to this. You know, they kind of listen just to listen, and they've kind of gotten bored with the game, and it's the reason why there's nothing new about what's going on when it comes down to your character. Right? Because, and this has been a big thing where, you know, progression in your character, it's not there for Guild Wars 2 right now. And they're trying to work on that, but I feel like it's taking a very long time. And I don't know, I sound impatient, obviously, but I feel like there needs to be something every now and then to switch up the way your character is played, or at least something new that you can try out to switch up the builds. But you get people angry if you switch up the builds because, you know, they spent so much money on, you know, ascended armor, which I think I would never do because I just don't want to, you know, all of a sudden things are changed in this feature patch and then I have to switch all my stuff all over again. Like that's just not, that's not fun. That's not fun to me. I already spent so much money on my engineer getting all this stuff for it, and I might need to switch it up. I might, you know, depending on what the new builds that come out and what I like as a play style now. If a new weapon comes out and I'm like, man, I want to be more tankier or more, you know, damage, just straight up damage with my melee weapon or whatever, or the, you know, the new sniper, which, you know, would never happen, only in my dreams. You know, there's things that could change. So it's all these things that Arena's like, okay, what do we do here? And I could totally see the whole confusion. But man, we just released some more stuff to, like, I don't know, change up the gameplay with the, you know, the new, I wouldn't say new legendaries, but new weapons, skills, and new traits. Even though those are kind of coming in with the balance patch, I think there's gonna be a new Grandmaster trait for Guardian, and, you know, new switch ups. So we'll see what happens.
The reason we might be seeing, like, I'm an advocate for tweaks and balance stuff to be coming out, you know, bi-weekly or even, you know, every month or whatever. Every 2 months even would be better than what we've currently got. Stuff like new weapons and things, we might see it all bundled in together because balance sort of does cover the umbrella of adding new weapons and all kinds of new stuff, and that sort of feature patch, and I think that's why it's all come together. But yeah, like, I'm hoping once season 1 of the because now we know that this maintenance patch is here in the middle. Once season 1 of Living World's over, hopefully we'll get some kind of a post from ArenaNet that says, hey, so feature patch is next. Boom, 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 boom. You've heard about this, but look at all of this. You know, every single live stream they do lately, they say, oh, we've got these cool ideas, but we can't talk about it yet. We've got cool ideas. And I don't think they are always blowing smoke out of their ass. I think there probably is some cool stuff that they've got coming up. And maybe that is going to be in the next feature patch. And hopefully we'll get some kind of a blog post talking about it. But, you know, if they are this infrequent, they'd better be pretty substantive, right? I think that's what everyone's holding out for.
So, free stuff? Free stuff? Is that all
right?
That's newsworthy there? New free stuff?
Yeah, look, it's just sort of like along the PSA stuff. Like the maintenance patch was going to be a PSA, and it ended up a big discussion. Bong! All right, now you have to make this into a big discussion. So there's free stuff on the gem store.
Right. It was a crafting boost, and what's the other one?
Well, okay, so here's what they've been doing. I never actually clarified this to people. What they did, they announced like weeks ago. They were like, oh, for the next 6, maybe 7 weeks, we're going to give 1 free item away in the gem store per week. And that's what they've been doing. So at one point it was the mini pets.
It's mostly 2, isn't
week.
it? Oh,
yes,
okay. I got the
2.
mini pets. That's right. I didn't buy it until I got the crafting boost that I got, I guess, this week. Yeah.
Yeah. This week, I think it's like a Trading Post Express, I think, is actually what you can get for free this week. And then next week is the final one. Maybe there'll be something pretty cool on the final week. I think the minis are the best thing that they've offered for free so far. But, you know, they might give us something pretty crazy. A big summer blowout.
What about like a permanent hairstylist? I would love a permanent hairstylist.
Dude, what?
Dude.
Well, just give it to everyone for free.
Yes.
Come back to Guild Wars 2 and you can get a free hairstylist. That'd be pretty cool.
Dude, people would log in.
You can get a permanent... I found this thing out as well, right, the other day. You know how you can get those from Black Lion chests?
Right.
Yeah. There's actually 2 different versions you can get from Blackline chests. You can either get, say, a permanent total makeover kit, which is crazy cool.
Right.
But you might get one that is account bound, or you might get one that's even rarer than that you can actually sell. So, like, a lot of them drop, but a even smaller number are the ones that are actually tradable and sellable on the trading post. I never realized that there were the 2 different versions.
I feel like spending a lot of money just to get those, because it would just be so cool if I could just keep changing my character over and over again for free.
It would, right?
Even though the total makeover kits are kind of cheap, I gotta say, pretty well priced for a game like this. So I definitely I would love I would love to save up and get me one of those just for fun.
Some of the only like ultra rare items in Guild Wars 2 that actually kind of get me kind of excited, like, I don't know, maybe it's just as I've become a lot more savvy with MMOs and things as I've got older, but one of the few things in Guild Wars 2 that really captures my excitement of, oh, that's really rare, is the potential of getting that stuff out of Black Lion chest. Like, someone pinged to me his permanent bank access the other day, and it was like there in chat, and I was like, oh man, that is really cool that you've got that. Like, that was such a rare drop for you. I feel really, really good. Well, I didn't really feel very much for him specifically, but it was so cool, like, that these items exist. And I was like, man, that's actually such a cool thing to see. Like, I don't get that much. People can ping a legendary to me. I don't really care that much. People can ping some weird thing they got from an event. You know, I don't care that much. Even stuff like Ghastly Grinning Shields, really expensive old skins that are super rare now. I don't care that much. But if someone pings me one of those things from Black Lion chests, I do. And it is one of those things.
What do you think about the chance of winning one of those every time you log in? Kind of like a take from the Korean MMOs. When you log into certain of these Korean MMOs, you basically, if you log in maybe 3 consecutive days, right? You get a chance to get a rare item. I mean, it depends on the game, right? And some of these items you have to pay money for that are extremely useful. Now, if they do the same kind of thing for Guild Wars 2, I think that can add another element to logging in instead of just your dailies.
Well, yeah, well, I'll do you one better. Why don't they add it to the daily loot table? So you got a chance, as you know already, to get like a fine transmutation stone or a bank access or a revival or something like that. What if they added to that loot table as a very, very rare item one of these currently Black Lion chest exclusive things?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have a chance to get it. So I think I would think it would be great. I will absolutely log in just for that if I wasn't playing the game for a while.
Really? Would you though?
Yeah, I would.
If you found out it was, because like the chance is so low already, and it would have to be at least that low for the dailies, if not lower, I would argue, because otherwise it's going to get
you're saying that I'll eventually just give up and just not do it.
Yeah, but for me, if I heard that I had a chance to get one of those items now from doing my dailies, and I wasn't currently playing Guild Wars 2, that wouldn't make me come back to the game. I've got to be honest, I wouldn't go back to the game if I wasn't playing.
Well, it's not gonna make you come back. I don't know, like if you had the choice, like some people make the choice, right? They come home from work or they wake up in the morning and they're like, all right, I got Guild Wars 2. I got some Call of Duty. I got some Battlefield. I got some. I need to finish my story for Witcher 2. I need whatever, like anything, like the wide variety of games. A new indie game that came out that whatever YouTuber is playing that you want to try out, right? And you have to make the choice. What would you enjoy more? You know, and you maybe just maybe there's something cool going on in Guild Wars 2, and because you logged in. For that daily thing, you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'll play this real quick, and you end up liking it. You know, it could be a tie. I mean, yes, it's rare, whatever, but that's my thought process around that.
I think what might be cooler is instead of just adding it to a loot table or whatever, if we're gonna go crazy with it, like they should do it like a proper lottery style thing, where it's like one person in the game per day wins it. And by logging in, you get like a raffle ticket or whatever, and then one person will win. So, and then you like find out at the end of the day who it was that got it.
Yeah, they should do some more global stuff like that. That'd be cool, because there's not a lot of there's no global chat. Even though I don't know, it depends on how many people are logged in. But I think that would be interesting to see a global chat thing, like some some MMOs
Other
would
games
do.
do.
Yeah, but most of the time you have to pay for it and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. It could be one of those things where you can pay a subscription fee for. Dun dun dun! Oh my God, Matthew, I can't believe you said that. Oh my gosh, I'm quitting the podcast. It's okay, people. It was just a joke. Do I have to? I have to say that it was a joke because people would take me seriously.
Some people just don't know what jokes are. Look, you just gotta.
You gotta
help them out a little bit.
They're quite serious. Yeah. For you to enjoy the podcast, I will announce when I'm joking or not. And
you should have like a little light in the corner that goes beep whenever someone's being sarcastic.
And if I don't announce it, I'm not joking. And if I don't announce it, I'm totally not joking. So, I always hated wooden potatoes. So, anyways, next topic is
What?
Huh?
Oh, okay.
What happened?
No, that's fine. Bong.
Bong.
The next question is not a question at all. This is the next PSA. This is a genuine, like, just to let people know. Something I saw. I'm stealing this advice, and it's fantastic advice, and I'm spreading it out there like an angel to the masses. Okay.
Oh wow.
And that guy, who was that? Who was that guy in the Bible?
Beautiful, elegant angel.
Who was that guy in the Bible that was like ended up as a saint or whatever? But he was a messenger.
He was a messenger?
Yeah.
I think I know who you're talking to, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm that guy, all right?
Uh-huh.
So that everybody knows. All right, think about this, guys. Glory is getting removed. Oh, that's what's happening on the maintenance patch. Yeah, I remember now. So, yeah, the maintenance patch is the one that's removing glory and stuff, but it's not the feature stuff. So, when that rolls around on the 18th, okay, consider this. That any like glory boosters or whatever you get are pretty much unnecessary, and the random PvP chests and things are also pretty much not going to be there. So if you are about to hit, say, 5,000 achievement points, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, any of those, don't open your massive chest. Why? If you open your massive chest now before the 18th, you'll get that useless stuff that you don't care about, but it is likely to be replaced with something else in the future. So just like maybe hold on to it for a little while and see what you get. But did we talk in a previous podcast as well about the new Hellfire stuff and Radiant stuff?
Hellfire and Radiant stuff? The new ones? No.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, and another thing, I guess, another thing for people to know. I don't know whether this is probably feature patch stuff. They added in one of the most recent, I think it was in the Escape from Lion's Arch update. If you go to the PvP lockers right now, you can see, you know how when you get like 3,000, 6,000, 9,000, 12,000 achievement points, you can choose Radiant or Hellfire armor. You can now, when you get really high achievement points, like over 20k, really high, there's more exclusive, unique armor you can only get from being really high on the top end.
Are they better?
And yeah, it's more pieces of the Hellfire and Radiant set. So you can equip more of it than used to exist in the game, but you have to go really far up there.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Right.
Yeah. Which I think is pretty cool. More incentive, like I do PvE binges, and when I do a binge on PvE, I'm either doing like worm and textile stuff, or I'm leveling alts, I suppose, maybe. But a couple of my binges have been because of achievement points, and I get really invested in that sometimes, which is kind of a curse because it's only if you're invested in it forever and you do all the dailies that you get high. But that's really exciting to me. That's like so cool because I was running out of steam for it because I was like, I've already got all the Radiant and Hellfire armor. Why do I really care? And now it's like, oh my god, there's more later on. There's in addition to the cool titles, go for achievement points again. It's actually kind of exciting. So yeah, that's coming in the game as well.
I like the Radiant, but like the gloves are just too big. They're too big, dude.
There's no such thing as too big.
Oh my gosh. All right, so I don't know. They should. I don't know, man. Like it doesn't match with everything. Like you can't change the color of the. I don't care about the light, but the actual glove, you can't change the color, and it's just bulky on like a little person.
Yeah, but you play a Guardian though, right? A non-Guardian.
And it's still
and
it's still too bulky. And it's
That's
still too bulky.
I guess there's no harm in wanting a more elegant look for your Guardian.
Yeah, of course.
I understand that.
Yeah, everything is bulky on that thing, so I think like with the full armor set, then it'll probably look pretty good. But as like piecing it with other sets, it doesn't work well at all. At least in my opinion. Hey, I'm a big fan of the Guild Wars 1 Chaos Gloves. So,
but they're like gloves. They're sleek, you know. And these are like the gauntlets that are very bulky.
I would love that. Can you imagine, like, I don't know, like a necro and like the gloves kind of form on. And it looks like it has veins through the arms. Oh man, it would be awesome. Everything would be glowing.
I'm pretty sure a huge thunderstorm just started outside. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, like the Chaos Gloves were really weird as well because they died oddly. Do you remember that? Like if you were a Necro and you wanted green Chaos Gloves, you would have to dye them like purple so that they would end up green. Did you ever play around with that?
No, I didn't. Wow.
Yeah, it was really odd in the first game. You'd have to use like these weird dyes and it would never give you the actual color it was meant to be. I don't know whether it was a bug or whether it was supposed to play into the idea that they're chaotic.
A bug that never got patched. Wow. Interesting.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for the topics. Do you want to go on to the questions and answers segment?
Questions! Bong, bong, bong.
And answers.
Maybe answers, maybe.
Maybe.
This
is we need a jingle to fill the time while I open these things in Photoshop, which is increasingly becoming a problem.
It's question time.
Perfect. It loaded. Great. That was awesome.
Yeah.
XX not crafter XX. Do you always pick questions from this same guy? Is it like, do we have a quota of people with X's on the sides of their names?
No, I just pick. I look at the questions. I don't really look at the name, to be honest.
Okay.
Until you say it, and then I'm like, oh, you picked that guy before, and I'm like, oh, for real? He just happened to have a good question.
Yeah.
Or sort of good question, or whatever. Yeah.
It means you think like Matt, guys. It's a good sign. It means that you're like on the same wavelength.
No, I pick questions that I have no idea about. Okay, they're especially for you. So I want to hear that. I want to hear it. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay. Dear WP and Matty Visuality. Is this last week's questions? Is this why I recognise this?
No.
With the heirlooms becoming incredibly grindy and worth it in the end, and the spinal back blade.
I think he says not. I think he mistake the not worth it at the end.
Yeah. Do you think ArenaNet is looking to step up the rewards for grind and make the grind worth it and fun? I know this takes away the point of a grind because they're not commonly fun to do. P.S. The idea of Casimir's death, I didn't consider the clothes when writing that comment, but wanted something to break Marjorie, as WP stated. Thank you. It's not all about nudity.
Well,
nudity.
We were never talking about nudity on this podcast. This podcast is clean, as I try to make it.
Clean as a whistle.
Yeah. But Winning Potatoes keeps ruining that.
Whoa, look, you're the one who brought up all the...
When I put it on iTunes, it's going to be explicit. It's going to be explicit, dude.
Do you think it'd be explicit?
Nah. Because I edit
out
a lot of your...
now and then?
Yeah, that I edit out. People don't notice. Oh, now they know. Oh well.
Is that why it sounds like sometimes I just go suddenly very quiet?
No.
I edit
it very beautiful and elegantly. You see what I did there? Now go on with the question.
Well, no, I've already... so basically the question is, what do you think about grind? How can they make grind fun?
You could never make grind fun. Because grind is just something that you make up because you're doing something over and over again. I mean, all right. Well, in some cases, it's really bad. But I think there's levels of grind. It's not really no grind. Like, they call Guild Wars 2 no grind, which is... that is a lie. That is a lie, okay? You grind in Guild Wars 2. And it's just like when you level, you grind those events. But it depends on... I think people's definition of grind is kind of... it varies.
Personal and subjective.
Yeah. And... because you disagree with me? Yeah. You disagree. Yeah. It's like in League of Legends, right? You kind of have to grind to get to level 30 and to get points in order to buy stuff, right? It's grinding. But people don't call it grinding at all because it's fun, right? But it's grinding. It's the same thing over and over again. You're just playing a champion against other champions. There's nothing new about it except for a new champion, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, the thing is, PvP is always different. Grind is like the idea of doing the same thing over and over and over again. The reason why PvP remains entertaining is because no two matches are ever the same. And so it's not actually the same. Yes, it's the same.
What about
map
the bot
perhaps,
matches?
Well, then yes, you could say that you're grinding out bot matches. I would agree with that because they are very predictable and it can be very similar all the time. But again, like with League of Legends, that's not something you absolutely have to do to go through the game. And I think, in some respects, anyone who plays through Guild Wars 2 and says to themselves, oh, I'm doing this and it's not fun, then they're going to say that it's grindy, because they're doing something before they can get something. It feels like a gate to them. I think overall, when you compare it, especially to other MMOs, like, seriously, consider the space this game's in. I don't consider this game to be too grindy. Yeah, it'll be less fun when you're on your 5th, 6th ult, for example. But, they're adding, for leveling at least, they're adding options for skipping through stuff. Like, the question specifically refers to the heirlooms that you can get from the current Escape from LA stuff. I wouldn't say I have grinded the Escape from LA. I would say each day I've gone in and done my rubble things. To me, that hasn't been grindy, but from doing that alone, the ArenaNet have given me 15 free level up tomes from the amount of heirlooms that I've got from that. And I don't consider myself to have got to a grindy point yet, but everyone has their own thresholds,
Really? So, I don't know. Champion farming for days and days and days and days.
Now that's grindy.
Or any of the Zerg patch content is not grindy at all.
No, it's the way you decide to play the game, though, for me. Because, yes, when I was trying to level my Mesmer recently, I did a couple of hours of Queensdale champ chaining because I'd heard it was potentially a quick way to level up. And that was so grindy. It was really grindy. But once
the
I got bored of
rewards
it,
were good enough.
Well, no, in my opinion, a sub-level
Yeah.
80, you're not getting the exotic chests, so it wasn't good rewards either. So I left, and I did cooking and stuff to level myself up.
Oh, yeah, I was 80.
Thing is, the grinding Guild Wars 2, what I'm getting at here, is largely optional. What are we talking about grinding for right now?
Optional?
A cosmetic back piece. Yeah, optional.
Okay, sure. Okay, so you don't get money. That's basically what you're saying. Is you don't grind, you don't get money.
You're talking about like farm grinding, but what are you spending that money on is largely cosmetic stuff.
Exactly.
Or
true.
very marginal ascended stat boosts. It's like what we were talking about last podcast. The ascended armor takes ages to get, loads of money, loads of time investment.
Right.
But it's for a really, really marginal boost.
Then there's nothing to do in PvE then. That
Well,
you
yeah,
might
it's
as well go into World v World and PvP, which we've mentioned before, but like,
which
you might
I
as
think
well
people
not.
do tend to like try and flock to.
Yeah, because there's nothing to do in PvE then, because all of the rest of it is just doing the same dungeons over and over again to either get a gift or whatever you want to get, armor, whatever, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that it's grindy. Because I've champion farmed and it's worth it, so that's why I do it. And it all depends for me. Me grinding all depends on how the rewards are. If the rewards are not good enough, I'm not gonna do it because it's not worth my time. And I feel like I could be playing something else or playing a different area of the game. So it's like, what's the point? So that's why usually when it comes down to certain patches, I'd be like, I don't feel like doing the same thing over and over and over again. It depends on the fun level and the rewards.
Yeah, like the way I do Guild, if I get bored of what I'm doing, if PvP eventually starts to feel grindy, I suppose, then I swap to another format of the game. Or like if I'm running too many dungeons, then I would then go and do world boss stuff. And if I'm bored of doing world boss stuff, then I feel like there's enough variety in this game, especially in comparison to other games.
You're misunderstanding that I'm saying the whole game is grindy. I'm not saying the whole game is grindy. I'm just saying there is grind.
Yeah, there can be grind in any game you play ever.
Yeah, exactly. It's grind. It all depends on what you like and what you dislike. Everyone has their own personal grind. Things that I think is grindy, you might not think is grindy. It's because you enjoy it and I don't.
Yeah, and that's another point. Some people enjoy like very grindy stuff. Like for Final Fantasy X, when I was younger, I grinded in the very first place you could get random encounters, like, so I could use my overdrive, which you could only use like every 10 fights, like 200 times, so I could unlock the final overdrive in the very first area it was feasibly possible in the entire game. Like, and that's the kind of way I sometimes play games. So it's like, it's true that like I've probably got a different threshold to what I think the majority do. But I also think a lot of people do take like grind for granted, and I think it's a word that gets thrown around way too much now.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of those old RPGs and things required you, talking about like the Final Fantasy series, like they required you to stop and keep killing mobs over and over so that you could progress. Like, and I feel like Guild Wars 2 generally is pretty balanced for that, especially if you just take it at like its core elements before you hit end game. Like, it's not so bad.
You mean
and
max
again,
level?
compared to yeah, max level and finishing the personal story and stuff
I'm
like
trolling.
that. Like,
yeah, go ahead.
the general stuff that people would play the MMO for before they decide that they're going to move on and do something else. While, you know, other MMOs are asking you to do the same, like, fetch quest for hours and hours and hours and hours. Like, there is less of that in this.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not really what the question is. I guess the question is...
What would help? Bring back dynamic events, please. Bring back dynamic events. Stop throttling it. Dang it. Like, let it out, man. Let it how it used to be. Dynamic events are so few. And but the problem is with that, though. The problem is what I'm saying is that if they do put out the events and then they kind of block you from doing the heart because it's too hard to do with one person. But then they should add some events that, you know, regular one person should be able to do, because when I'm leveling, I'm pretty much by myself.
Well, what about end game grind? That's really what he's talking about.
End game grind?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. End game grind. I mean, events. I would like to see the level 80 areas, right, switched around with events. If they had enough people to keep making new events in level 80 areas, or like the newest area that they make, they make, and with these events you get, you know, karma or whatever you want to get, that you can buy stuff from that merchant that's in that area, in that whole new area. You know, for instance, like an area that's open when the Tengu opens their doors, right? Mm-hmm. Because the dragon is attacking or something like that, or something crazy happens in the future. Then, you know, that would be pretty cool. I would like to see some new events every week, you know, or maybe a cycle of them and then they change them every month. Or I don't know, and they could just keep bringing them back. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I like this event. You know, kind of like the whole effect where when you play the jumping puzzle, right? I guess SAB and of course the clock tower as well. You know, like the whole effect, like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed the clock tower jumping puzzle. You know, that whole nostalgia effect. Like, oh, I really enjoyed this event. This event was pretty cool, and then they bring it back. You know, and it could, if they have multiple of those things going on, just like, you know, Super Adventure Box, you know, and Clock Tower, and just have them like events for level 80s, then that could be interesting. And then having, you know, a different champion also thrown in there, a different champion boss, or, you know, bringing out Lupicus out there in the open, you know, like different crazy, stupid stuff that could be happening. Basically, maybe a test world where they just test different crazy stuff happening in that world. That would be quite interesting. Can you imagine going inside of a whole area, and the whole area is filled with like this gas that makes you hallucinate and crazy stuff happen?
What? Not like hallucinate like the toxic stuff we've seen in game, but something else. Like
basically you can see like clowns running around, and those are enemies, and you know.
Yeah, I could see that.
And they could, you know, they could do like, you could go into space and stuff like that, just because, I don't know, weird stuff like that would be pretty interesting.
And it was like they were sort of trying to do that last year a bit, like, because they had the Bazaar as well. I remember they did one specific interview where they said, oh, the next year of Living World is going to be better because we'll have more time to do other stuff, because we've got so many cyclical events now. We've got Halloween, we've got Super Adventure Box, we've got the Bazaar of the Four Winds, Winter's Day. These are all Dragon Bash. They're all things that can come back each year. And, like, maybe they'll just keep adding on to that, you know, in a different package, and then it could sort of work out.
I wonder how far back they start working on certain projects. Like, for instance, Super Adventure Box. Do you think Josh Foreman is working on it like right now, or he's waiting to like 2 months before, which is kind of now-ish, and you're starting to work on it now, and then the Super Adventure Box will come out on April or whatever time it comes out.
I really have no idea. I think that they're like really fluid, and they probably just move around a lot, and they don't know what's coming up next, and it's just, hey, we've all got to focus on this for now, and then they all split off. And I think it seems likely, because of those rumors and things, it seems likely maybe the Super Adventure Box stuff went on hold for a while. But this is a question of, like, do you think we should have that transparency? We should know exactly what team's working on what, or do you think we should just get what we're given, basically?
I think transparency is better, because the thing is, yeah, for us it would be great, right? But then for the people who troll all the time, then you're like, oh, this guy's responsible for this, and he sucks, and that's why Josh got all that backlash, from all this, like, oh, Josh is the reason why.
Yeah, there was a World vs. World designer that everybody hated on hard, right? Because of like World vs. World changes.
Exactly. So there you go, and that's what happens. Oh, I can't believe you did this to PvP. Oh, I can't believe you did this. Yeah. So it's best for transparency, because people are just mean. They love your game, but then they're not giving you constructive criticism. They're just mean. Like, why attack the developers personally for decisions? I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on to the next question. We spent a while on that one. Yeah. So the next one is from Sean Lane, who says, I heard on WP's latest Q&A a question where one person asked about giving the players more decisions with what happens during the living story. My question is, what kinds of things would you guys like to decide going forwards? My first suggestion would be if the community would like to rebuild Lion's Arch or leave it in its current state. Well, the suggestion, at the very least, why would we want to leave it in its current state, like, lore-wise? Because these decisions we make would be seated within the story, correct? So how are ArenaNet going to phrase that to players in-game?
Right.
Like, why would someone in-game vote for the continuing destruction of one of their cities? Like, I don't know. How's that going to work? We just tie up with an even, with a villain?
If for a suggestion, I mean, he could, like, switch it around, like, how do they want it to be rebuilt? That could be a way.
What order? Yeah. Or how the buildings function. I don't know. I think that's a good idea. I think mostly one of the coolest ideas to me is the idea of us having control over character deaths. But that's hard to do because character deaths aren't really something you can plan for without kind of quite contrived stories. Like, a character death usually happens in the moment, doesn't it? It's like, oh, this is going on, and then suddenly disaster strikes, and then they die. Like, how can you rig it so that players are voting for which character dies, like, without doing, like, an execution storyline that really can't be reused afterwards or some weird...
Like Mass Effect. Terribly wrong.
Yeah, so, I don't know. That would be kind of cool to be able to decide on, like, the fates of characters.
Tally.
But maybe it doesn't have to be through deaths. Whoa.
That's all I'm saying. I'm just gonna say tally. That's all I'm saying. People know what I'm saying who played Mass Effect 3. That's all I'm saying. Rigged.
I had like two files in Mass Effect 2 where like you could have everyone dead or everyone alive. And like there was even a glitch in Mass Effect 2 where you could have even the pilot dead. It was pretty good. And I've always wondered how that works when you go over into Mass Effect 3. Yeah. Yeah,
it ended in Mass Effect 2. So, yeah. I died as Shepard, and the series ended. I saved the world from the Reapers.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
That sounds pretty nice.
Yes, yeah. It happened. And I had a romantic relationship with a few people on my ship. So, I was a player. And I died as a player. Died as a pimp, you know what I'm saying? But my pimp hand is still strong, son. Pimp hand is so strong.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
is there any, before we move on, any
choices? They could do more choices, definitely. I feel like they're going to have to spell it out, and they kind of have to make it better than how it was before. How like, oh, the fractal, you're going to get this, you're going to get that, you're going to get this, But it has to be, within the lore, it would have to be like, like how they voted for a mayor. But then in that, you have a list of things. So if they vote, for instance, the Surans to build a town, or the I don't know, Tengu to build a town, which will never happen. You'll get different towns, right, to rebuild Lion Stars is what I'm saying. And in that list you get different things that could be in that town. Which would be kind of cool. If they bring like a new merchant,
it really far,
and add skills. They add these certain skills or these certain skills, or you learn how to for instance, a new weapon. Like, if you pick the Tengu, they teach you how to use the new bow or the new battle staff or whatever. I don't know whatever the Tengu uses. And with their Zurans, they have like some new crazy weapon maybe. Yeah. So yeah, that would be pretty interesting.
I like the idea as well of giving people decision, but then the one that they choose means many different things. So for the first decision we made, it was Evan or Ellen, and that just had story implications, but then it also had, okay, there's going to be a different fractal associated with each, and then there's also going to be another perk that comes, like cheaper waypoints or whatever. So they stack all of these things in, and that makes the decision you're trying to make a lot more difficult. And like with what you're saying there, it's like, do you pick these guys to visit their city and get this weapon, or do you pick these guys to visit their city and get this different weapon? And it's like, I want to visit this city, but I like the other guy's weapon, and there's interesting decisions to be made there. They could go really, really far with it. And I think they haven't explored that enough in the living world right now. And hopefully, it will be some kind of season 2 thing we see go forward a bit more.
Season 2.
Akitik says, if you could gummify, it was probably one of the best ways I've ever said someone's name ever. If you could gummify a Guild Wars 2 creature, Josh Foreman style, which would you choose?
I watched that whole video after you told me.
Did you watch the full thing?
The full thing.
Nice.
And I was like, wow.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Did you feel pretty emasculated after you watched it?
I felt like maybe I could have done more stuff with my life when I was young, and do more sculptures. Maybe. Wow.
Oh my god. I felt that so bad.
It was crazy. I was like, all this stuff just to get that shell, just to make that gummy, and with all those details.
We're gonna have this cast and then this cast, and they're gonna go into the mother cast, and it's like, what is all of this? Just to make,
It was pretty amazing, and his hair is pretty awesome as well. Also,
nice.
Yes, his hair, dude. Oh, it's from the gods.
So what would you pick? What would you pick?
A big Norn female.
I thought you were going to say Quaggan. I was so sure. I almost would have put money on Quaggan.
Quaggan was the other thing I was going to say. That was going to be my true answer, actually. Was going to be the Quaggan. But I wanted to make the joke of me liking Norn female big girls. So there you go. There you go. I would like a Quaggan, definitely.
Gummy Quaggan.
I think it would be a lot easier than a worm with all these lines and stuff.
Yeah, that's true too. So what I would pick is you can see them sometimes in Crater, sometimes they're in other areas. The Shiver Peaks, I think you see a fair few of them, not so much in the Char areas. But there are these enemies called bears, and I think making like a gummy bear would be pretty crazy.
With that face as well, with the with the weird face.
Yeah,
I would take a chunk out of that butt. I'll tell you that.
Wow.
Like just so I can say that butt tastes good.
Wow.
I was gonna say, yeah. There you go.
That was good. That was a nice save.
Yeah.
Good.
Uh-huh.
The next question's from Killchained. Who do you know who this guy is, by the way?
Kill Train?
Yeah.
No.
He's the leader of the Worm Guild that I'm in, and like a good friend of mine for a while now, I guess. But yeah, he says
friend. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than me and you.
No, not quite, not quite that good. Don't worry, not quite that good.
I'm just saying though.
My idea, don't worry, no need for jealousy here. My idea regarding mini pets. What if they had a spin on SWOTOR's companion system, where every mini pet can do the same stuff, but for cosmetics you specifically pick 5. Those mini pets roam around in your personal instance. They mine your personal instance stuff automatically and can be sent on missions like gathering X, Y, or Z, or crafting X, Y, or Z. What do you think?
I also like to see it just follow you all the time and does stuff. Like, I don't know, like, you know, they can have the healer, or I don't know if that, you know, works within Guild Wars too, but just for example's sake, you know, the healer or the guy who grabs aggro, you know, it could kind of change up some gameplay, even though balancing issues might come into play. Definitely.
Wait, so like you can set your mini to follow someone else?
That would be pretty interesting, actually. Like the guy who can't, you know, tank the damage, or they can just have stat bonuses on you, right? You know, it gives you extra 5% toughness or extra whatever. It'll be just like having another ring. You know, even though I don't like that. I like it attacking in some way. You know, that would be pretty interesting.
I think many should stay cosmetic. But there was this old thing in Guild Wars 1 that I always wish they did. In Guild Wars 1, there was this overarching title you got for collecting other titles, right? And there were all these tiers to it, and every time you tiered up, you got another thing. It was sort of like the Guild Wars 1 equivalent of the Guild Wars 2 achievement point titles. You know how you get a new title every 5k achievement points?
Right.
I would like it if every time you got that next 5k achievement points, again, to further incentivize people to do all the achievements and play a variety of PvE and stuff like that, do their dailies, do their monthlies, to put more emphasis on getting high achievement points. Every time you tier up, when you get 5,000 achievement points, you can have 2 minis out at once. Once you get 10,000, once you get 10,000, you can have 3 minis. 15k 4. And that might sound pretty crazy, but the players that are actually at 15,000 achievement points plus is actually probably quite a low amount. So it'd be really cool to be able to, A, have all your minis accessible like we discussed before in like a finisher style window, but also to be able to display more depending on how far you got like with achievement points. That's like, for me, a pretty basic thing I think they could do that maybe they're a little bit worried about, because the more AI they have on maps, then the more laggy they get and stuff like that.
Right. There's a lot of factors between that.
But like, it's so difficult to get that amount of achievement points. It's just that further on down the line, like 2 years down the line, maybe it would be you know, a bit bad, because a lot of people would have them.
Also, we kind of went off the topic. He was talking about the mini pets kind of being your personal instance. I think he means home instance.
Yeah, I think that's a cool idea as well. Like last podcast, like in other MMOs, we mentioned this, that you could set your mini to pick up items off the floor, and that's not really relevant in Guild Wars 2. But I think his idea here is probably as close as you can get to have them, you know, be a function of some kind that's still non-combat. Like, I think this is as close as you can get in Guild Wars 2, honestly. What else can they do? Yeah. Making them craft something for you every day is a cool idea.
I was going to refuse to mention it, but since you said that, MapleStory has that type of effect. Where you get a pet, and you could pick up stuff off the floor, and it also heals you when your life is low, which is extremely useful to not be...
Oh, I didn't realize they did that.
Yeah, they do a lot of good stuff. Like, pets are pretty much not just cosmetic. Like, they make it extremely useful, and I think that's why they work so well.
When you get to end game in MapleStory, do you still sit in chairs and lounges to regen your health?
The thing about MapleStory, the end game is not as simple as other MMOs. First of all, it takes you a while to get to 200, and it's grindy. It's definitely grindy, but it's so worth it, and it's so fun to grind. So fun. That to this day, that is probably the only game that I would and RuneScape, that I would grind and would love it. Well, actually, I would enjoy MapleStory a lot more, because you get to do all these cool moves and stuff like that. It's like the more the years go by with MapleStory, the more flashy it gets, and the more more laggy it could get. And that was one of those games I would grind and grind and grind and wouldn't care. And I wouldn't mind spending money on it, because I enjoyed my experience so much, you know, with the game. And I guess that's something to say with, you know, if you enjoy a game, you wouldn't mind spending the extra money, even though a lot of people are like, they'll spend any money on it.
Well, what were you going to say about its end game, though?
Its end game, it's it's more about grinding, more about grinding to your level, but then you don't really rush to it anyway because there's so much social aspects to the game. You know, people just kind of do other things, do Zackham runs, or, you know, Horntail runs, or there's all these other ways to do this. Because when you grind, you gain levels, you get more powerful. Then you can use your more powerfulness to go do these runs, right? And when you get a certain level, you can do bigger and better bosses that will give you better loot that can sell on the free market, which is like this big marketplace where people just like put all their stuff, like a whole bunch of like I don't know, like rare items, and there's so many rare items in MapleStory, so many that the prices varies. There's this whole economy that goes crazy and fluctuates. There's so much more to the game other than, you know, getting to max level. You can totally play the whole game, enjoy yourself, and not even reach the max level. I never reached the max level, even though I'm like, my highest level is like almost 200. I'm like 180.
Do they still? When I used to play, I don't think the cap was 200. I might be wrong about that.
No, it was always 200.
Yeah, was it always? So they've never moved it up.
Oh well, they have moved it up. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. They have moved it up, but not.
I was going to
recently,
say, are they going to
recently
move it?
at all.
Yeah. Do they move it up?
They made it easier to get to 200, but they haven't, like, you know, put up the. Oh, actually, no, they did. No, I'm wrong. I think they did, to get rid of the people who are who were on the top for a very long time. I think they did move up the level cap recently, actually.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Man, I get so nostalgic about that game, but I feel like if I went back to it, it wouldn't be the same game that I remembered it being.
Yeah, I think it would. Well,
it's probably changed a lot.
Well, for me, I have it installed, and I go on there to look on the free market every once in a while just to see how the prices work, because I loved buying and selling stuff. I was incredibly rich. I was filthy rich in that game. Filthy. Like, I had all the best stuff, all the best.
Did you do that by like flipping?
Huh?
On there. Did you do that by like flipping items on the marketplace?
Flipping,
buy
yes.
low, sell high.
That's how I made my first couple million.
But you never did that in Guild Wars 2?
Guild Wars 2 it's not that fun in Guild Wars 2 for me. There's a lot of...
What do you think the difference is?
I don't like... The trading post removes that whole thing, because in MapleStory there is no trading posts. You sell them. Like, you either yelling...
face.
Yeah, you're either yelling it out, or you have a store that you would sell the stuff to. The only trading system you have is the trade market, or I think it's called trading system, where you can trade real in-game items for real cash. Well, for NX cash. And you can use that cash to get whatever you want, you know, a pet or a new gear, a new way to look, the way make your character look cool and stuff like that. And they had a lot of good stuff. I mean, tons of good, like, weapon stuff and everything. The way they made MapleStory, it's just one of those games that it's just unique in its own way. And, you know, I'm not going to talk too much more about this, but, like, there's so many ways to play the game and so many ways to just talk to people. And that's part of the, you know, socializing with people with the market. It's like, okay, this guy, oh, would you lower down this price to get this awesome weapon? You know, and you know, and you will say, like, oh, I'll offer 2 million mesos, or, you know, of course, if you're looking for like a really,
mesos, right? Yeah,
a high weapon, it would vary, and, you know, you would pick the best guy with the best attack, with the best glove, or whatever. There's so many ways. There's so many items and so many rare and crazy scrolled items. Like, if you use scrolls on these certain items and you get a really good scroll on it, it becomes rare automatically. And some guy can get automatically rich just because he got a good scroll on it. And most of the good scrolls that you put on the your like rare stuff can have a potential to destroy the weapon. Sometimes even 90% chance to get like the best, you know, attack on the weapon. And that is not in Guild Wars 2. Everything is casual. Everything is, oh, it's cosmetic and stuff. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter even if they did the free market. It wouldn't matter because there's nothing rare about the game. Everything is cosmetic. Everything is easy to get. Everything. And if it works hard to get, you can just buy it on a trading post. I mean, well, that doesn't matter. If it's hard to get, it's just cosmetic, and there's no really value to any armor in the game other than physical value, other than cosmetic value. Nothing. And that's why I play the game. I play the game to look cool. And I never got into WoW, but I think if I played WoW back then, I would have totally been a WoW head. Because, you know, you'll do these big boss battles and get the rare armor, the rare drop of a pet, the rare drop of a mount or whatever you get in those games, and armor and stuff. And Guild Wars 2 doesn't have it, and I miss it. And I kind of miss it, you know?
Well, they've started to put it in GW2. I think one of the
it
best
would never be like it's supposed to be. Or, well, how I think it, how I want it to be is a personal opinion. Let me clarify. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy that we got there from mini pets.
Well, that's usually what happens when we talk.
But yeah, overall for the question, I think it was a good idea. Do you want to go on to the next?
Right. Yeah, sure.
X, you're making me want to play Maple Story, basically. X Odyssey X.
Don't.
Again, a guy with X's on the side of his name. What is up with this? Says, hey Matt and WP, how would you imagine the female Tengu would look and sound like? I think we can only speak to male Tengu in game right now. So yeah, what do you think?
How do I forgot to check. I wanted to check exactly how the male Tengu sounds like.
Oh, I am a male Tengu.
Oh, they sound
Hello,
like
senpai.
Asians. Wow.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're supposed to be like samurai culture people.
It's Asians. So I'm assuming there's gonna be some martial arts. Wow, it sounded bad when I said that, but I mean, it's a race, isn't it? It's a race. So I'm black. You're white.
One of the best things that they did with the Tengu is, like, in the first game, you never heard any of them speak. And it was all just text, but all their text made them sound like this very kind of samurai-ish, whatever kind of culture. They were introduced with the Asian-themed continent of Cantha, you know? And then when Guild Wars 2 came out, they did actually carry that, at least slightly, with some of the voices you hear from male Tengu in the game. So, yeah, I think the female would carry over, right? Just imagine like a geisha who is a bird.
I would think it would be like kind of like a stereotypical black woman. You know,
wow.
It's like, you know, don't come in my city.
Why is that the line that came to your head? Don't come in my city. Has a black woman ever said that to you?
We never see any female Tengu, right? Because I would imagine them at the wall, you know, and be like, yeah, we're like,
no, I don't think there are.
Don't come next to my wall. I'll shoot you. You know, like, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While
it like clicks its wing, like left, right, left. Yeah.
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 It could happen.
I think that would be a bold move for ArenaNet to make, but one that would be very much rewarded.
Just like Cantha.
Just like Cantha. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, like, something always bothers me about my old video about the interview with Colin Johansson. Yeah. I say Cantha. As of Cantha, and it bothers me so much that I said that. And it might have been the whole, like, rushing anxiety thing that was going on, because I wasn't really nervous, but it was just, like, to get that interview, like, I had to be on top of people. Okay? Like, you know, nothing bad about ArenaNet. I had to be like, okay, you know, am I gonna talk to Colin? I'm gonna talk. Oh yeah, Colin wants to talk to you. But I had to, you know, I had to ask around. I had to get it. You know, I had to work for it, which is fine. You know, I don't mind working for it. You know, they did fly me out to PAX. I don't mind doing a little work, even though I was like, you know, do you need help? You know, setting up stuff, and they're like, no, you just chill. You're on vacation. No, I'm not. And then when I chilled, I didn't get to record the exclusive footage from the thing.
But when you said Cantha, you knew it was Cantha at the time.
Yeah, I did.
How does that happen?
I don't know. My brain is like that. That's why sometimes I mispronounce words, and I'm like, why did I say it that way? It just happens. I don't know. Maybe
it happens to me as well.
Oh,
But the trick is you have to stand by it after that. You make the bad pronunciation, then you have to stand by it and be like, no, this is just the way I talk. It'll be perfect.
yeah. I'm slowly getting out of this whole. I don't know. I felt like I had some type of accent when I was I don't know, growing up. Like too many people I hanged around with black ebonics and all this stuff. What? I went to a black school and I was black. I could talk. There's nothing racist about ebonics, okay? People listen to rap and all that garbage. Oh, I mean, some garbage that's in rap, and they don't talk perfect English. And I don't talk perfect English, but I'm saying I talk better than some of these guys. What you do, you know? But no, I'm not gonna do the whole thing. But anyways, yeah.
All right. So Emmy Chantel Axis New York or Deep Dish?
Did you just say Axis on purpose?
Yeah, I did.
You bastard.
Go ahead. So New York or Deep Dish? Confession.
Oh, that's the girl who said I was stupid, by the way. I just want to point that out there. So, you know.
Yeah. Much love to you, Emmy. Much love.
Oh.
But look, no, look. Okay, no, here's my turn.
I know you
like
stupid. Pizza, that's why I picked this.
No. Well, you need to teach me here.
Too.
You need to teach me, what is a New York style pizza?
Okay, so New York, usually you will see that it's a huge slice of thin pizza, right? And it's usually really greasy as well, but it tastes so good.
Those are like the ridiculously massive slices,
yes,
are they then?
Yeah. When I went to New York, I went to this pizzeria and huge slices, dude. Humongous slices. With some nice crusty crust.
From presumably even larger pizzas, or do they shape the dough?
Yeah, they're larger pizzas. Yeah,
into triangles. Okay.
No. They're larger pizzas and they cut like really big slices. I used to go to this place in Miami called Pizza Point, and they had kind of the New York style, but kind of their own twist on it. Deep dish, of course, is just a deep dish pizza, which is also
talking more about the base.
Lovely. Yeah, it's just lovely.
I maybe this year, maybe the year before, I found I have a deep. Growing up, I always had deep dish, and it wasn't even really that it was a choice or whatever. It was just what we had, sort of. But maybe last year, the year before, I found I really, really enjoy thin crust pizza. Like really enjoy it.
Yeah,
and it's like
good.
It's less, but it's so much more to me, and it just tastes so nice. And I love like how crunchy it can get as well. Like, I'm not much of a connoisseur of pizza, to be honest, but I do very much like that. And that's not an option I've been given here, unless that's New York. But from what I have in my mind of New York style, it's just sort of, I don't know.
It's a little bit thin. It's a little bit thin, like a thin crusted, large pizza slice, and it's very cheesy. Most of the time, it's like very cheesy, but yeah, it's mostly like, you know, tomato sauce and mozzarella. Boom, you New York style pizza.
Well,
in a traditional
you
sense.
You had like a cauliflower pizza the other day.
Oh yes, hold up, I think we talked about it. I think we actually said the recipe.
We did. What was the base though?
The base was cauliflower. So you
right, yeah.
Yeah. I said the recipe.
What was the consistency of it though? Was it like quite thick or was it quite thin?
It depends on how flat you lay it out. So
how flat did you lay it out? To
explain again, just in case people missed like the end of the podcast last time, which is that you cook the cauliflower for a little bit and you squeeze out all the water. Because if you don't squeeze out all the water, it gets very watery when you put it in the oven. So you squeeze out all the water and it gets the consistency of a kind of floury base. You put an egg, you put some cheese that you like, you know, some mozzarella, some cheddar, sharp cheddar, whatever you want. And then you put all your ingredients, you know, your oregano, your garlic, you know, all that stuff. You mix it up. You can even put a little slice of cream cheese, you know, smack that down in that daddy. And it was good. You mix it into a like, you know, a doughy paste, and then you put it down onto a sheet of parchment paper. Very important. Because parchment paper doesn't stick, and it will stick to anything, especially foil. You put it down, and that you know, tells way of the consistency. Once you put it in the oven, for like 40 minutes on, like, I don't know, 475, basically it turns into a bread, and you can it doesn't fall apart unless you pull on it. So it's very easy to fall apart, but not as, as different to any other bread. So it becomes like a very bread consistency to the point that you can pick it up with one hand and it won't break apart. So that's the consistency of it. It is actually a bread, and it tastes really good. The cheese really makes it together, and surprisingly, if you add some flavors, it's really good. You add your sauce.
It does sound pretty nice to me.
You add your sauce, you add your cheese.
I actually do love cauliflower.
You add your meat, and then you put it back in there for another 10 minutes or so, and there you go.
Wow.
I actually hate cauliflower, but after I tasted that, I think the cauliflower actually tastes pretty good.
Dude, one of my favorite dishes, it's not really a healthy dish, but cauliflower cheese with bacon is it's so good.
Cauliflower
Delicious.
Cheese? How's that a thing?
Oh, that's a huge thing. I have cauliflower cheese all the time.
What is it made? Is it made of cauliflower?
Literally, I'm talking about boiled cauliflower with a cheese sauce, like you might put with a lasagna. Literally. And then put in a dish, bang together in the oven for a bit.
I made some eggplant lasagna. A lot. I make it a lot, actually. A ton. I'm about to eat some after this podcast.
Wow. Okay. I don't think I've ever had eggplant in my life.
It's
no, I think I have. Isn't that weird? You Americans call it.
No, we call it eggplant.
To you is something different to me.
Yeah, it's a very thick. If you cook it with oil, oh my gosh, it will fill you up.
Oh, they're
quickly.
aubergines. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah, it sucks up that oil real quick. So don't do it with oil. A little dice of oil. But I basically the cauliflower pizza, whatever. I tend to replace stuff. So with the lasagna, my wife likes lasagna, so I looked up egg. A lasagna that's that doesn't have carbs. Because carbs, those will pack the pounds on. So it will be slightly healthier. So no, it'll be more healthier, obviously, not slightly. And you just put some dress up the eggplant, cook some meat, put it in between, put some cheese if you want. I don't do it with cheese because that's too much fat. And it tastes pretty damn awesome. Guys, you should try that. Instead of just cooking regular lasagna, obviously it won't be lasagna, but for I enjoy it more than lasagna because I've just kind of gotten the taste of healthier foods than actually just bread all the time, even though I love my bread. A good bread is Ezekiel bread, very whole grain stuff. But yeah.
Dude, you could almost have someone just, it's like I said last time, you could have someone animate what you just said, and then there you go, there's your healthy eating video.
Yeah, it's good.
You get quite into it. You're quite into your chefing.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to, because you can't survive off of salads the rest of your life. I mean, I joke around I ate grass for the whole time. I kind of did until I learned. Guess what? I can do more stuff that's healthy. Instead of using flour, using almond flour. It'll be different. I made banana bread, which is probably one of my favorite cakes. Well, it's kind of it's bread, but it's cake. With almond flour, and it tastes amazing. And I love bananas, even though they're too sweet, and you probably shouldn't eat too many of them. I
had way too many bananas when I was in my mid to late teens, and I think it's just turned me off them for life.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't get tired of ripe bananas. They have to be a little bit of spots on them. Yeah. So deep dish or New York style.
Oh yeah, I already answered, so it's to you, I guess.
What did you answer?
Deep dish, because New York sounds too I don't know.
Regular? I would go.
Yeah,
I would go deep dish as well. Even though I kind of like the stuffed crust pizzas, but New York style, of course, is not. You can't stuff the crust because the crust is kind of small. For deep dish, kind of eliminates the whole crust thing, depending on how you make it. Yeah, it kind of eliminates the crust, right? It's just basically the pizza.
No, isn't deep dish where you have a lot of crust, it's quite thick? And you can have a big crust around that.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess it depends on how you do it. Yeah, I guess there's different types of deep dish. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I like me some deep dish. I like that nice thick bread as it fills your stomach.
Yeah, and it rises quite a lot.
Yeah, it rises a lot. So yeah. Next question.
Okay.
Last question.
Well, this is the last question. It's a pretty crazy one. I don't actually know how we can answer this, to be honest. This is the weekly rummage around. Oh, that was pretty quick this time.
I didn't have it out for some reason.
Sweet. So the last question comes from Daniel Kropk, who says, "Hey Matt and WP, what are you expecting from the next patch to happen, and which permanent changes do you expect or wish for Lion's Arch?" Well, see, here's the thing. The first question, what are we expecting to happen next patch?
We know.
We can't say, because we know, and we can't tell you, so...
Well, we don't know all the
next
specifics,
podcast.
but we kind of know like the end result and stuff like that. So,
what permanent change... So we have to go on, which permanent change do you wish for Lion's Arch?
Yeah. Actually, you go ahead.
All right, well, I just want it to be fully destroyed forevermore. Maybe become more of a regular zone in the game. But I want to see it not only have the fires go out eventually, but I'd like to see it become increasingly more dilapidated. And I think that's obviously not realistic of an expectation, because it would require some dev team to keep updating it each patch, which would just be stupid. But it would be nice if after the Escape from Lion's Arch patch goes over, it just ends completely died down. Like, we get another version of it where it's even worse looking, and it's functionable as, oh, hey, this was a city that was destroyed, even years in the future, instead of just looking like the destruction just happened. And I just want it to be destroyed, and I want everybody to spread out across the other things. I want all those services of the Vigil Keep to leave, and then, yeah.
I would like to see it definitely destroyed. Obviously, we've mentioned this before. And I want it to stay destroyed. Right, and people will, look back and like, oh, Lion's Arch, wow, I was there when it got destroyed. It was crazy, blah, blah. I like that type of feeling. Also, I wouldn't mind in the future for them to make a really cool city, or someone inhabits that place, and something cool happens there. Maybe they either build a whole new city, and it's entirely different than how it was. Entirely. I don't even want the Mystic Forge in the same spot. Entirely different. And I'm not talking about recent. I'm talking about like a year down the road, 2 years down the road in the game development, whatever. They finally revisit Lion's Arch, after like the destruction, and after people are not so butthurt about it and stuff like that, So like, or some type of evil nests its egg there, and it's, they all of a sudden you see like a building, in Lion's Arch that, that kind of just is there, and some evil guy there. I don't know. There's some ways to do it.
Yeah, it becomes like a new villain's lair. Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't, like, years down the road, we won't even know until like it's revealed, like, oh, he's been hiding in Lion's Arch this whole time. Blah, blah, blah.
Are you saying that at least for this year, for 2014, you don't want Lion's Arch to be rebuilt?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm in agreement as well. Beyond that, then that's fine. They can redo it. If it is ever going to get rebuilt, please be in a different layout. Please be looking. I don't mind if if it uses like largely the same assets. It has the same kind of boats that are building everything up. It's the same kind of bricks. It's got that Lion's Arch. As long as it's like a different layout, I'll be happy enough. But something even more radical, like Matt's saying, where everything's different, would be pretty crazy cool as well. Just the general terrain of the environment remains. What I really want to see is Scarlet is currently drilling there. I want her to just keep like drilling and drilling and drilling until the entire thing becomes like one of those giant nightmarish potholes you see, that swallow houses, sinkholes, sorry, potholes. Like one of these sinkholes you see that just swallow entire
like a Divinity's Reach.
Yes, like that. What was that film that we both watched? And you thought it was okay, but you didn't like that it ended with a party in heaven?
Yeah. It's something with the end. This is the end.
Yeah. And in that film, like, it starts with all these giant holes appearing, which are in the context of the movie meant to be going to hell. But something like that on Lion's Arch, that all that is all that remains, just this mammoth crater. And the waypoints and points of interest and stuff that you still go to there for map completion are accessed through like these really precarious walkways and gangways of fallen down rubble and woods that's stretching over, you know, this gaping moor beneath you. That'd be really cool. I'd love to see that.
And it's not the end scene. It wasn't the end scene. It's how, like, the first guy who, you know, went up.
Oh, you're talking about this as the end. Okay.
Yeah. The first person who went up was like, okay, that was cool. And then they tried to like.
Then everyone went up, and they shouldn't have. And I agree with you on that. I think that film would have been way better if the other guys went to hell, or at least stayed in purgatory.
Yeah, it would have been way better. But you know, they wanted to end on a happy note, I guess, or say like everyone's going to heaven.
Yeah,
all they had to do is just say free. Yeah, it was like, okay, it was good until then. Even though I didn't like Jonah being evil, it was a little bit sickening to see that. Like, it was a little bit weird.
I quite liked it. They took some risk. The humor was really up my alley in that film. I really liked a lot of the humor in it.
I like Rihanna falling into, like, oh, it was funny.
Yeah.
And when the Harry Potter girl, Emily something, or is it Emma? It's Emma something.
It's Emma Watson.
Emma Watson. There we go. From Sherlock. Yeah.
Sherlock. Yeah.
Yeah. She when she got into the house and stuff like that, and they started having that conversation. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Cause I was like, that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, yeah, they're gonna go there. Someone's gonna mention it, at least for a quick joke. But no, they went the extra mile with it. They always went they went outrageous with that. They just went totally outrageous. But yeah. Yep.
I like how we got back to movies as well. Dude, this is slowly becoming a movie podcast.
Slowly.
We'll return next week for conversations about Captain Phillips, which hopefully we both will have watched by that point.
We should totally do like a game club, or don't you know how book clubs do when they read a book every week? And we could do that for movies and games. That would be pretty interesting. But we have to be consistent with it. Yeah, that would be pretty.
I don't know whether I can play a new game every week. I'm not that kind of person.
You're not a real gamer.
I'm not. I'm a mono gamer. I play Guild Wars 2 and that's it, pretty much. And then Hearthstone a little bit, and then realise I suck, and then put it down again.
Wow.
Another thing I wanted to announce as well.
Dropped a tier, just like a single tier.
We were looking for other games to play.
A little bit salty.
So that people know, we played Deponia. A lot of people were asking about Deponia. I'll horn this in here. We did play it, but it didn't really work out that well. But I thought one thing that was pretty cool about that game is that was Adil from The Raven. Is the main character in that. So that would have been kind of fun, but yeah, it wasn't too good, so we ended up getting rid of it.
It wasn't that the game that wasn't good, is that it was another point-and-click adventure, and we don't think it was interesting enough. The gameplay was interesting enough to keep people's attention. We were
in like the first house for at least half an hour.
Yeah.
Trying to chase like a toothbrush that was hiding in a dark corner, and we didn't know how to bait it out. And yeah, it looks like it was pretty fun, but
you should have totally just kept the raw footage and put it on your like other channel just for fun, for the giggles who wanted to see it.
I could have done that. Don't say that. Now everyone's going to be disappointed that I didn't do that.
It wasn't that funny anyway. There was not jokes in there, you know. Do you still have the first daily deal?
Stuff.
Do you still have the Fez daily deal?
Oh my god. I might.
That was like the first video we did.
Yeah, I might still have it.
That would be quite interesting to see where we've come.
It's a piece of history. I think it's too early for us to go back and watch.
No, of course not. But I'm just saying, I would love to see how our chemistry has grown.
No, we watch it and we realize we're exactly the same.
I don't know.
That would be how. No, I reckon we.
I finally see your face. I know your name. Where, stuff like that, I know where you live. I know your address. I've sent you stuff. You send me stuff for Christmas. We're pretty tight now, right?
Yeah. I gave you that, Best Buddies ring bracelet thing.
And by that, I mean, I know none of those things. So, and we're obviously, our relationship is on threads and easily can be snipped because, he won't share anything personal with me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. And stay visual.
Good luck, has no pets.
Yeah.